All right, everyone, welcome back to yet another video and another round of League Zero. Today is an absolutely insane race, so I highly recommend that you stick around and watch the whole thing. We've already got cars racing straight out of the pit lane for open qualifying because it is open qualifying in this league. And I just have to say right off the bat, like, I absolutely love the open qualifying format. It's so much better than the 2-lap shootout that the standard iRacing races have, and I have so much fun trying to manage the traffic, set up your laps, and so you're watching what is my fastest lap so far here, and it's so important to get the clean air and make sure that you have you know, a lot of space in front of you or else you compromise your lap. But today's video, as a thumbnail and title, I'm sure suggests, is that we were involved in a little bit of drama with this one, so we'll get to that when it happens. That was in the feature race. So first we have a 8-lap sprint race that takes place, and we're going to go through that first, and I will let the commentators take it away for us as we do our lap. We qualified P8 for the sprint with a 125.62.
We've got Adam Merchant starting on pole alongside Felipe Sarkis on the front row of the grid, and DB ML on the second row alongside Leo Del Mar for your second row of the grid. AJ Brenner, Fabian Sanchez for the top 6, Larry Johnson, Michael Briscoe for the top 8 on the grid, Jace Meyer and Dustin Smith will make up our top 10. James Turnbull and KH Donahue will make up the top 12, while Gail Rolls and Nick Patterson for your 14, with Daniel Sekurchnik for the top 15, with Ryan Thilbor for the top 16, Xavier Cernav for the top 17 cars on the road, with Robert Nobel, Arturo Mayorga, Cameron Keel and Jacob Wilson at the back of the field for 21 cars, 21 fast-paced super formulas.
All right, so there we go. The sprint race, this is just all about survival. There is no strategy for a sprint race as the red lights are up, and they're very, very long. It's a very delayed start, but we end up getting a decent reaction out of it. Everybody kind of scrambles at the start. Amel goes very defensive to the inside. I'm going to hold my inside line here because it is just absolutely crucial that you hold the inside here at Portimao. The outside is so difficult, especially on these cold tires. This is one thing about this car that I'm sure anyone who has driven it knows. There are no tire warmers in Super Formula. Case A, right there, Exhibit A, Adam Merchant spinning off of the start coming out of the hill. It's just so easy to do. Even though he is a very high rated, he has a very high I rating, it's so easy to do. It can catch anybody out, and it has almost caught me out and several other drivers multiple times on the opening lap, that is, because of the no tire warmers. You can see people in front of me getting squirrely. That's Larry Johnson just trying to hold onto the car, but the tire temperature is so difficult to get right in the first 2 or 3 laps. It takes about 5 laps to get them up to optimal temperature, and so it's so difficult. I can't emphasize that enough, especially under the brakes. And we could see another driver losing it here. We just get very lucky staying out of that. We're going to go to the replay here.
Nacional Algarve, 5 lights. And we're underway once again for League Zero. Race 1 this evening. 8 laps to come your way as we scramble towards turn number 1. Cars are going here, there, everywhere, deciding where they want to attack this circuit early on. It's going to go by very quickly. Only a minute and a half for each lap time as drivers are trying to find their way round as the car's already gone through. That's Adam Merchant off the exit of turn 4. Round he goes, and to the very back of the field he goes as well, as we've already got movers happening down towards the hairpin. Because realistically speaking, across 7 laps left in this race, there's no way he can make up as much time as he's just lost here in a span of about 5 seconds.
Not unless there's a potential big accident up the road there. That's probably the only way that he can get. But yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Pole setter went from the penthouse to the outhouse, and Larry might be joining him down there, Larry Johnson.
Yeah. Has now dropped down to P18 on the road. But Adam Merchant is still stuck behind him. This was up around the top of the hill for Larry Johnson, so they'd come up to the blind corner, then back down the hill again. And was there contact there, or was that self-made?
Looks self-made, I would say so. Big challenge at the front here with the...
So, quite the opening lap. That is the one thing about a sprint race, is that there is no strategy whatsoever. It is all about survival, all about sending it. And this is what I wanted to talk about right before we cut away. As I go off the track here and I'm on the marbles, it is just, there is just no grip. Sorry about the camera, by the way. That's going to happen a couple times in this video. The camera just fell down. I do apologize for that. But anyways, You can see me weaving here, trying to clean off these tires and just get some temperature in them, because compared to qualifying, where I actually had a pretty good run, I mean, P8 isn't great, but I knew I was in top 5 pace-wise if I was really nailing it. Come the race, the car just felt completely different. It was like I wasn't even driving the same car. I don't even know how to explain it to you guys. I was struggling so bad, and I don't know if the track temperature just increased a lot or if the wind was really affecting the cars, but it did not feel like I was driving the same car at all. And like, I was just really struggling this race. Also worth noting, I didn't do a lot of practice for this race. For round 1, I did plenty of practice. I did upwards of like 100 laps of practice and some race sims. For this one, I did no race sims, and I only did about 20 laps of practice. And so I was very, very limited, and I just felt like crap on this day. I was just super tired, didn't have that normal energy that I usually have, and that normal just like high level of focus, I guess is the word I'm looking for. So I just felt really, really off today, and it really shows in my driving throughout the rest of this episode. I just was not on it. And so putting a lot of pressure on, I believe this is Donahue in front of us. Just, you know, I think that's one big thing about racing, is just sticking behind somebody, even if you're faster than them, and just waiting for them to make a mistake and capitalize off of it. So we're going to go on to overtake mode, but both of us are on it here. In the sprint race, you have, you know, I think like 200 seconds of overtake, so you just want to use it pretty much the whole time. You don't want to save it really for anything. And so any opportunity you get onto overtake mode, side by side with Donahue into T1, there is no way that's going to go over well if we stay wheel to wheel. And the same thing happens again, just on the marbles on the outside, no grip. And this is one difficult thing about this track, as there's a little bit of a lockup here. We're going to cut to the external cam in a second because of just how intense this battle was. And there was a lot of stuff going on here, but we're going to go look to the inside for an absolute dive bomb here. That's a great move. We're going to take another look at that because I was quite proud of that one. Very aggressive, very assertive. That's good stuff right there.
He was doing it on warm tires that had been scrubbed up, and they had the grip to get through there. Maybe turned in a little bit too tight and caught too much turb as Briscoe is centered from about a suburb back.
Wow.
Looks to get the job done. Donahue's going to come back at him though, but he's got the move done there. What a move though by Michael Briscoe.
That was impressive. I mean,
it was like, we don't like to say it too often, but that was a big balls move, team. Like that was a full send. So he managed to get it done as Merchant now at the inside.
Little bit of glazing from the commentators. I'll take it. Thanks, boys. Always appreciate it. We get that move done on Donahue. That was a pivotal move because I made a lot of mistakes at the start. We're going to take the white flag here, and that's pretty much going to do it for the sprint. We're just going to run through here, as I do have some more pressure from behind. This is the defending champion Merchant pressuring us. We're just going to fight only a little bit and kind of let him through. We'll see if we have an answer here, but he is much quicker than I am. You know, trying to get up to that pace, but it just seems like the podium runners normally, Merchant, Amel, Sarkis, and AJ Brenner, in that case, they just seem to be a little bit quicker than me, and I'm not really able to keep up with them. But we are pretty close to right behind them most races, so that's going to do it for the sprint. We take P8 in that one.
We get our provisional race results there for race number 1. Felipe Sarkis out of P1, and DB Amel finishes out of P2 this evening. AJ Brenner for P3, Fabian Sanchez, Leo Delmar for your top 5, Dustin Smith, James Turnbull, Adam Merchant, Michael Briscoe, and Jace Meyer for the top 10. Our starting grid for this race, Leo Delmar will start front row of the grid ahead of Fabian Sanchez on the front row. AJ Brenner and Adibe Amel for your top 4, Felipe Sarkis for the top 5. So that's the reverse grid portion. Actually, we forgot that there's only a top 5 reverse grid here this evening. Dustin Smith, James Turnbull, Adam Merchant, Michael Briscoe, Jace Meyer for your top 10.
All right, now it's the race that matters. This is where the drama is going to come in. We have the lights up. We get a really good launch. We just have excellent grip off of the line, but it seems like that kind of happened at the front as well. Everybody's very, very packed up. There's contact in front of us, and that causes us to scrape our front wing on the car in front of us. We're going to go back and take a look at this. First, I'm going to give it to the casters and have them run you through what you just saw.
As lights are up for Portimao once again, race 2 coming your way. It's underway as Sanchez has bogged it off the start on the front row as we run down towards... No, that was Leo Del Mar, bogged it off the stars. It's a scramble through turn 1. Contact's already happened. Early on at turn 1. Cars have been spun round. It's chaos here at Portimao. And oh my God, drivers having to take evasive action, some better than others. As we run
okay, so a lot went on there. So let me explain what happened from my point of view, because it looks worse than it actually was. So this is the driver in front of us. A little early on the brakes, but completely understandable. I do want to make note that I did apologize after the session and we resolved the issue, right? So there's no hard feelings between us. From my perspective, you can see on my client, I actually really just barely skimmed him. So if we go to my point of view, I am trying super hard to get out of the way, and it's just a, you know, barely skimmed the front wing on the rear right tire, which causes him to spin. But the net code of iRacing makes it much worse. So we're gonna look here. You can see I just barely scrape that rear right tire, but because it's iRacing and the net code and with the server issues, he loses the entire rear end of the car and catastrophic damage. This is what my eyes were looking at. So this is why this even happened in the first place, is because my eyes were fixated on that in front of me, which I thought was going to be a massive accident. So that's why I didn't dive to the inside, because there was, of course, a lot of room there. You know, the more I think about it, the more it's like, there was a car to my inside, so that's why I didn't move over there, but he braked much later, and so the room opened up. But at the time, I couldn't see that, as we have a huge dive bomb to the inside. I get forced out onto the marbles, which is going to ruin a lot of grip. But because of that contact, we're going to get a 10-second time penalty from the stewards. I'm not really going to argue it. I mean, I think, you know, it's fair in some sense. Do I think that the driver in front of me braked a little early? Yes. But at the same time, can you really blame him? I'm sure he saw what I saw, which was those 4 cars going 4 wide at a T1. How that didn't end up in a crash is just absolutely miraculous. And unfortunately, I think both of us just kind of got the worst of it. And him, unfortunately, being on the receiving end of a lot of damage, which was just very unfortunate. That's just an iRacing issue, right? If this was real life, he probably would have just gotten away with a puncture and me a little bit of front wing damage, but because it's iRacing, things ended up being a little worse. But regardless, we make a little bit of a mistake here again, because now I'm going to go in a second.
James, I think it was either James Turnbull or Cameron Keel possibly down at turn 1. As we can see here, Michael Briscoe and KH Donahue battling alongside Jace Meyer once again. So this battle continues on from race number 1. It's just as intense. Is it going to be this intense for 26 lap, Dean, or is 26 laps, or is one of them going to break at some point?
Yeah, well, it's tires as well too. They're going to start falling off the cliff, aren't they? Yeah. They're driving the absolute pants off these cars, the wheels off these cars.
Okay, so here's what happened. So after that incident at the start, my car had no left front wing end plate, and so I was basically driving like Leclerc at the Chinese GP. I just had no front downforce whatsoever, and especially in these cars, as I discussed in the start, cold tires, no front wing. This was just an absolute challenge. And the thing about this series is you can't pit within the first 3 laps. I don't know if that applies to damage off an opening lap incident. I assumed it did, so I didn't pit, and I couldn't remember if it was 3 laps or 5 laps, so I played it safe, and I was just going to wait the 5 laps to eventually go into the pits. And so I was just trying to survive right now. I was holding up a huge queue of cars. You can barely see it in my mirror. There was about 7 or 8 cars behind me that I was holding up because this front wing was causing me to lap about 2 laps slower than usual, and the car was so difficult to drive. As you can see, like, I was just locking up every corner. It was so hard. Here's what the train was behind me.
Get past Fabian Sanchez now, so he's trying to hunt down ML in the lead. Oh, he's just run really wide, hasn't he? And off into the kitty litter, but comes onto the track. And
it's one of those things you're racing. As Donahue's gone round further back there, he's off the road on the other side of the hill.
Yeah, that's the Hornet's nest right now, isn't it? Currently on the track, and he's just lost it on his own. He's just hit the loud pedal, and the car's just said, "Okay, I'll scream for you."
So that was happening right behind me. I eventually had enough of it. I couldn't take it anymore. The car was too difficult to drive, so I decided to pit super early, and we're going for an insane strategy, the Scott Dixon method. We're going to pit on lap 6 and go 20 laps on these tires.
Deploy that across the lap, but There wasn't time limited across the whole race as Briscoe's into pit lane.
So this was no longer a race of how fast, you know, can we just overtake people in battle. This was a race of managing the tires to last 20 laps, which in a super formula car is not easy to do. These tires are pretty much in optimal state for only about 10 to 12 laps, I would say, and then they fall off pretty hard after that. And so we caught up someone coming out of the pits. So this is the first challenger that we have in front of us, Robert Nobles. So in order to make up all these spots again, we're going to have to overtake all these cars, but also save the tires at the same time to make sure that we can get them to last 20 laps, which is a lot to ask of this set. So I really had to manage this battle and make sure I wasn't pushing too hard, or else, you know, because we're just going to scrub them off really bad. So this was quite the scrap here. Things are going to get pretty interesting. So I was very unsure if I should overtake there, but you can tell he's feeling the pressure, kind of misses his apex. We also have pressure from behind, which makes this really difficult, right? Because I want to save the tires. I don't want to push them. I don't want to wheel spin. So you can see me being super gentle on the throttle. We're on to overtake mode. And we're going to see if we can make this work here. This is going to be really, really challenging. You guys have seen me make the same mistake about 4 times in this video. That was a pretty questionable block there. There was a car width to the inside, but it was a little dangerous. So we're going to go into T1 here. Is this going to work out? It's a little bit of a brake stab and a brake check overtake. It's very strange. I did that intentionally. That's borderline on the rules, I would say, but the reason I did that was throw a little fake in there like I was going to back out, but then keep going, and we end up getting that position, and they actually crash behind us.
As we run up through the double right-hander, job done for Adam Merchant. Oh, but he's gone around and there's been contact! Contact between them. So he'd already gone, and it was netcode that then broke Amel's car. Pretty much pick up from what happened to you. For Amel, he's now going to have to use that fast repair that he has in hand to fix the front end of that car, because it would be absolutely screaming. Oh no, it's actually self-fixed itself. I've just seen Dean actually. So Amel's car's perfectly fine.
Whew, a lot going on there, boys. A lot going on, fellas. I mean, that was some serious, serious carnage that happened at the front and in the middle of the pack. And so the reason I'm showing me driving on the straight a bunch of times here is because these are all the positions we were making up from people making their pit stops, because we just passed the halfway point. We've got a car on their out lap right now. Of course, I've talked so much about the tire temperature in this video, so they're on a cold set. I'm on a hot set that's pretty worn in, and so that's going to be a pretty easy overtake for us. But are we going to be able to defend it? Because their tires are going to be about, you know, who knows, 6 or 7 laps fresher than us. So I was able to hold them off and get myself into P8 up until about lap 22 here, and then I just can't emphasize enough how hard the tires fell off at this point. It was so difficult to hold on to the pace. You guys saw my qualifying times. We were, you know, and my practice times, we were in the low 125s, borderline 24s. During the race, 26.8 on this destroyed set of tires. I knew I couldn't do it anymore. I just had to concede the position at that point. You know, I already knew that I was probably going to get a penalty for the contact in lap 1, and so I just figured, let's just take home some points out of this. I know that there's no way I'm going to be able to finish, you know, ahead of this guy with these tires, and so we take the white flag here, and we're basically going to cruise this thing home best that we can, because there was even more pressure behind us at this point from Donahue on this, you know, 20-old lap set of tires, and so they were just absolutely shredded at this point. I felt like I had no grip whatsoever. You can see how gentle I have to be on the brakes and the throttle, just so gentle, and that pretty much did it for us. So we ended up finishing P9, but because of our 10-second penalty, that's going to push us back to P12, and so we get some decent championship points out of this. They're going to show up on your screen in a second, but I mean, that was a pretty rough weekend for me. That was not a good race at all. Both races were pretty bad, and I think going into the United States stretch of Portland, Long Beach, and Sebring, we should be a lot more competitive, but that's going to leave us P6 in the championship for now. I don't know if that was after, you know, the penalty was applied, but we'll take it over to the casters.
Traverses around the final parabolica of the Autodromo Internacional de Algarve, and up towards the start-finish line with the overtake with barely any left in the tank. He crosses the line, P1 on the road. here in the feature race does a 24.5 on the last lap. Sarkis comes home P2 with a 24.8. He didn't quite get the fastest lap. And now Brenner comes home P3.
So that's your podium. I mean, it was a pretty good race. I hope you guys enjoyed that video. I had a blast. I think coming up to the American rounds are going to be a lot more competitive, and it should be really exciting. I think me and AJ Brenner are going to be in quite the fight, as well as some of these other guys in here. Sanchez and Smith are some names that come to mind. So I hope you guys enjoyed that video. Thank you so much for watching, and thank you to everyone from the league as well that has been supporting the channel. And I guess I'll catch you guys in the next one. Let me know your thoughts on the incident below, and I'll see you guys next time. See you for round 3 next Thursday at 9 p.m. Be there.